Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. A human ship just entered the Forbidden Zone, and it shouldn't be possible. The Silent Watch. The hum of machinery was the only constant companion in the research station's communications hub. Zara Novik adjusted her neural interface, fingers dancing across holographic displays that flickered with endless streams of cosmic data. Frontier Research Station, Omega hung in the delicate balance between human curiosity and the infinite unknown, positioned at the furthest reaches of explored space. 3 years into her deep space assignment, Zara had grown accustomed to the station's rhythms. The international crew of 87 scientists, engineers, and explorers represented humanity's most ambitious attempt to listen to the universe's whispers. Each of them carried the weight of decades of space exploration, the hope of discovering something beyond the mundane. Dr. Marcus Greenwood, the station's chief communications director, approached her workstation. His weathered face, etched with lines of countless nights studying stellar phenomena, carried an unusual tension. "Novik, run a diagnostic on the long-range quantum receiver," he instructed, his voice tight with an emotion she couldn't quite place. An unexpected signal. The station's primary display erupted in a cascade of unexpected frequencies. Patterns emerged that defied standard communication protocols. Something was breaking through the cosmic background noise. Zara's fingers flew across the interface, isolating and amplifying the signal. "This can't be natural," she muttered, pulling up spectral analysis and quantum coherence graphs. The signal contained complexity that suggested intelligence, but unlike anything in human communication archives. Mathematical sequences intertwined with what almost seemed like a linguistic structure, yet remained maddeningly just beyond comprehension. "Marcus, you need to see this," Zara called out, her professional calm barely masking her growing excitement. The older scientist leaned in, his augmented eye, a sophisticated piece of biotechnology that allowed him to analyze data streams in real time, zoomed into the signal's intricate pattern. "Impossible," he whispered. "First contact protocol." Station protocol demanded immediate notification of the Global Space Coordination Council. Zara initiated the encrypted transmission, her hands steady despite the rapid pulse she felt racing through her body. Whatever this signal represented, it was unlike anything humanity had encountered before. The station's diverse crew began to gather. Dr. Arya Rodriguez, the station's lead xenolinguist, entered the communications hub. Her expertise in decoding complex communication systems made her the perfect person to begin analyzing the mysterious transmission. "It's not just a signal," Rodriguez said, her eyes wide with a mixture of scientific wonder and growing concern. "It's a message, or more accurately, a warning." The station's atmospheric processors seemed to grow quieter, as if the entire structure was holding its breath. Zara realized they were witnessing something that could fundamentally change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Unfolding mystery. Hours passed as they worked to decode the transmission. Fragments began to take shape, references to something approaching, a threat that had consumed entire civilizations. The language, if it could be called that, was a complex blend of mathematical principles and what seemed like emotional undertones. "It's like they're trying to communicate not just information," Dr. Rodriguez explained, "but the very essence of their experience. Each mathematical sequence carries an emotional resonance." Commander Henrik Wolf, the station's military liaison, entered the hub. His presence typically signaled serious concern. "We're receiving priority communications from Earth," he announced. "Global defense systems are being put on high alert." Zara looked at the cascading data, the mysterious signal that had begun as a whisper and was now becoming a roar of potential cosmic significance. Humanity stood on the precipice of something monumental, first contact, or perhaps something far more ominous. The weight of discovery. As the station's night cycle began, casting soft blue illumination across the research modules, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The universe, which had always seemed silent and distant, was now speaking, and its message carried an urgency that demanded humanity's full attention. She glanced at the primary display, where the mysterious signal continued its relentless transmission. Something was coming, and humanity would soon discover whether they were prepared to listen. The Horizons mission. The interstellar research vessel Horizon cut through the darkness of space like a silver needle threading the cosmic fabric. Dr. Kyrie stood at the primary observation deck, his breath fogging the quantum-reinforced glass as he stared into the infinite blackness. As the vessel's lead xenobiologist, he had spent years studying the potential for life beyond known boundaries, but nothing could have prepared him for the mission that now consumed every moment of his existence. 3 weeks had passed since the initial signal was received at Frontier Research Station Omega. The Horizon had been dispatched on an unprecedented exploratory mission, tasked with tracing the origin of the mysterious transmission that had sent shockwaves through human scientific communities. Echoes of a lost civilization. Dr. Priya Sharma, the vessel's chief astroarchaeologist, approached Kai with a holographic display flickering between her pale hands. "You need to see this," she said, her voice carrying a tremor of excitement and apprehension. The hologram revealed fragments of what appeared to be a massive stellar structure, but not like anything humans had ever encountered. Geometric patterns that defied conventional understanding of engineering twisted and intersected in impossible configurations. Spectral analysis suggested the remnants were millennia old, yet they bore signs of technological sophistication that made human achievements look primitive by comparison. "These aren't just ruins," Kai muttered, tracing the holographic lines with his finger. "This is the skeleton of something that was alive in a way we don't yet understand." The first discovery. The Horizon's deep space probes had detected an anomalous region of space approximately 3.2 light-years from their current position. As they approached, the ship's advanced sensors began picking up increasingly bizarre readings, quantum fluctuations that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. Lieutenant Omar Rodriguez, the vessel's chief navigation officer, called out from his station. "Dr. Reese, we're detecting multiple energy signatures that don't match any known natural or artificial sources." Kai felt a chill run down his spine. The signal they were tracking wasn't just a message, it was a trail of destruction, a cosmic breadcrumb path leading to something profound and terrifying. Fragments of a cosmic tragedy. As the Horizon's specialized collection drones began gathering material from the massive stellar remnants, the onboard AI system began processing the initial data. Holographic reconstructions materialized in the research bay, revealing glimpses of what might have been an advanced civilization. "It's like looking at a photograph of a funeral," Dr. Sharma whispered, her scientific detachment momentarily cracking. The reconstructions showed massive structures that had once been home to billions, now reduced to scattered debris and quantum echoes. Kai examined the fragments closely. Each piece told a story of technological marvel and ultimate destruction. There were signs of a catastrophic event, something that had not just destroyed a civilization, but had systematically eliminated every trace of its existence. The approaching threat. The ship's communication system suddenly crackled to life. A transmission from Earth, fragmented, urgent. Global defense systems were on high alert. The mysterious signal that had originated from Frontier Research Station Omega was now being detected in multiple star systems. "We're not just tracking a message," Kai realized, his scientific mind piecing together the terrifying puzzle. "We're tracking a warning about something that's coming." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension. "Multiple quantum anomalies detected. Something is approaching from beyond our current sensor range." The weight of knowledge. As the Horizon continued its investigation, Kai Reese understood they were no longer just researchers. They had become witnesses to a cosmic drama that threatened to engulf humanity. The fragments of the lost civilization spoke of a threat so profound, so all-consuming, that entire star-spanning cultures had been reduced to quantum dust. Something was coming, and humanity was woefully unprepared. The observation deck's lights dimmed, casting long shadows across Kai's face. In the reflection of the quantum glass, he could almost see the ghosts of a civilization that had been erased, a stark warning of what might await humanity if they failed to understand the message hidden in the cosmic signal. The Horizon pressed forward into the unknown, carrying with it the last hope of understanding a threat that promised to consume everything in its path. A global tension. The United Nations Space Coordination Council chambers buzzed with an electric tension that no diplomatic meeting had ever witnessed before. Director Imani Okoro stood at the center of a holographic display that mapped humanity's most sophisticated defense systems, her dark eyes scanning the global threat assessment with a mixture of professional calm and deep-seated concern. 63 nations were represented in the emergency session. Political boundaries that had seemed insurmountable just weeks ago now appeared trivial in the face of the cosmic threat that loomed over humanity. "We are not looking at a potential threat," Imani began, her voice cutting through the murmurs of assembled global leaders. "We are facing an existential challenge that will define the future of our species." The mounting evidence. Dr. Francois Laurent, the lead scientific advisor from the European Space Consortium, projected a series of complex data streams that danced across the chamber's central hologram. "The signal detected by Frontier Research Station Omega is not random," he explained. "It contains a complexity that suggests not just intelligence, but a form of communication designed to penetrate multiple technological barriers." The hologram shifted, showing fragments of the mysterious transmission that Zara Novik and her team had initially intercepted. Mathematical sequences intertwined with what appeared to be linguistic patterns, creating a mosaic of information that defied conventional understanding. "Our best cryptographers and xenolinguists have been working around the clock," Laurent continued. "What we're seeing is a warning. More precisely, a strategic communication designed to alert potential targets of an approaching threat." Unprecedented collaboration. Imani watched as national representatives who had been bitter rivals mere weeks ago began to collaborate. The Chinese delegation was sharing advanced quantum communication technologies with American scientists. Russian and European teams were combining resources to analyze the cosmic signal. "We're detecting similar transmission patterns in multiple star systems," reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka from the Japanese Interstellar Research Institute. "The scale suggests a threat that operates beyond our current understanding of space, time, and technological capabilities." The holographic display began showing a terrifying projection, potential invasion routes, quantum anomalies that suggested the movement of something vast and incomprehensible. The human response. "We need a unified response," Imani declared, stepping forward. Her background as a former military strategist and current diplomatic leader made her uniquely qualified to bridge the gap between scientific understanding and global action. A comprehensive plan began to take shape. It would require unprecedented levels of global cooperation. Immediate global research mobilization. Rapid development of advanced defensive technologies. Creation of an international space defense force. Preparation of emergency planetary defense protocols. "We are going to do something humanity has never done before," Imani told the assembled leaders. "We are going to prepare to face a threat we barely understand, using every resource our species can muster." The hidden costs. Behind closed doors, in a secure briefing room adjacent to the main chamber, Imani met with a smaller group of top strategic advisors. The conversation was more candid, more brutal. "We're looking at potential global population reduction scenarios," said General Marcus Holloway, head of the United States Space Defense Command. "Depending on the nature of this threat, we could be talking about billions of lives at risk." Imani understood the weight of those words. This wasn't just about technological preparation, it was about the potential survival of human civilization itself. A beacon of hope. As the global meeting continued, a transmission arrived from the interstellar research vessel Horizon. Dr. Kai Reese's preliminary findings painted an even more complex picture of the cosmic threat. "We're not just dealing with an invasion," Imani realized, reviewing the classified report. "We're confronting something that has systematically eliminated entire civilizations, something that operates on a scale we can barely comprehend." The holographic display flickered, showing the vast emptiness of space punctuated by quantum anomalies that suggested movement, purpose, destruction. Humanity stood at a crossroads. The greatest challenge in its history was approaching, a test of scientific innovation, global cooperation, and the very essence of human survival. And they would face it together. As night fell over the United Nations headquarters, Director Imani Okoro looked out over the city of New York. Somewhere out there, in the vast darkness between stars, something was coming, and humanity would be ready. The orbital crucible. The International Space Station Nexus hung in its carefully maintained orbit, a testament to human engineering and international cooperation. Commander Rafael Suarez moved through the station's interconnected modules, his body still adapting to the subtle movements of zero gravity despite years of space service. The station had been transformed. What was once a symbol of peaceful scientific collaboration now pulsed with an intensity of purpose that bordered on desperation. Researchers from 12 different nations worked side by side, their previous national rivalries dissolved by the weight of the approaching cosmic threat. Status report, Raphael called out, passing through the quantum communications hub. The module was a maze of advanced technology, holographic displays flickering with data streams that seemed to breathe with living information. Technological convergence. Dr. Isabella Martins, a Brazilian quantum communications expert, looked up from her workstation. Her fingers danced across a holographic interface that seemed to defy the laws of traditional computing. "We're making breakthrough progress on the signal decryption," she reported, her voice a mixture of excitement and underlying tension. Raphael studied the displays. Fragments of the mysterious cosmic transmission were being reassembled like the most complex puzzle in human history. Mathematical sequences intertwined with what appeared to be linguistic patterns, creating a communication method that challenged everything humanity understood about information transfer. "The Russians have developed a new quantum entanglement communication protocol," reported Major Dmitry Volkov from the navigation station. "It might give us a way to create instantaneous communication across unprecedented distances." The political undercurrent. But beneath the scientific collaboration, political tensions simmered. Raphael knew the fragile nature of this unprecedented alliance. Each nation saw the cosmic threat through the lens of its own survival, its own strategic interests. A secure communication channel activated. Director Imani Okoro's holographic image materialized in the central briefing area. "Commander Suarez, we're facing internal pressures," she said, her voice low and serious. "Some nations are considering breaking the Unified Response Protocol." Raphael understood the implications. The threat they faced was so vast, so incomprehensible, that it threatened to tear apart the very alliance needed to confront it. Technological breakthrough. Dr. Martins suddenly called out, her voice cutting through the tension. "We've got something, the signal. It's not just a message, it's a map." The station's primary display erupted with a complex three-dimensional representation that defied traditional cartography. Quantum probability streams intersected with what appeared to be stellar navigation routes, creating a visualization of space that looked more like a living organism than a traditional map. "It's showing potential invasion routes," Raphael realized, his military training kicking in. "But more than that, it's showing the path of destruction this threat has already taken." The human element. During a rare moment of downtime, Raphael found himself in the station's observation module. The Earth hung below, a blue-green marble that suddenly seemed impossibly fragile. He thought of his family back in Buenos Aires, of the billions of lives that depended on the work being done in this orbital laboratory. Major Volkov joined him, breaking the silence. "We're not just scientists or soldiers anymore," the Russian said, his voice reflective. "We've become the last line of defense for an entire species." Breaking point. The station's alert systems suddenly flared. Multiple quantum anomalies were detected, something was approaching. The collaborative atmosphere transformed instantly into a precision military operation. "All stations prepare for potential external threat," Raphael commanded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through his system. Dr. Martin's voice cut through the tension. "The signal, it's changing, it's responding to the anomalies." The station's quantum communication hub began to pulse with an intensity that seemed almost alive. Holographic displays showed complex mathematical sequences that appeared to be actively communicating, adapting, warning. The moment of truth. As alarms blared and scientists worked with frantic precision, Rafael Suarez understood the true nature of their mission. They were no longer just preparing for a potential threat. They were engaged in a cosmic dialogue with something beyond human comprehension. The Earth continued its silent rotation below, unaware of the battle being fought in the thin membrane between scientific discovery and potential extinction. Something was coming, and humanity's most advanced outpost was the first line of defense. The Siberian Sanctuary of Science. Deep within the Siberian Research Complex, a fortress of scientific innovation carved into the ancient permafrost, Dr. Nikolai Volkov stood before a wall of quantum processors that hummed with an almost living intensity. Snowflakes danced outside the quantum-reinforced windows, a stark contrast to the burning concentration etched across his weathered face. This was humanity's most advanced theoretical physics facility, a place where the boundaries of known science were not just explored but systematically dismantled. The breakthrough moment. "We're close," Nikolai muttered, more to himself than to Dr. Alina Petrova, his chief research assistant. The mysterious cosmic signal they had been analyzing for weeks was beginning to reveal its true nature, and it was nothing like anything humanity had ever encountered. The primary quantum display erupted in a cascade of mathematical sequences that seemed to breathe and shift with an almost organic intelligence. Each algorithm was a universe unto itself, complex beyond traditional computational understanding. Dr. Petrova adjusted the quantum resonance filters. "The signal is more than a message," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's a form of adaptive communication that rewrites itself with each analysis attempt." Unraveling the cosmic puzzle. Nikolai's life's work had been dedicated to understanding the fundamental nature of reality, quantum mechanics, dimensional theory, the very fabric of spacetime. But this signal challenged everything he thought he knew. "Look here," he pointed to a specific quantum sequence. "These patterns, they're not just mathematical, they're a form of technological DNA, a communication method that adapts, learns, and potentially predicts." The research team had been working in shifts, rotating through 72-hour cycles of intense analysis. Global resources from multiple nations had been poured into this single research facility. The stakes couldn't be higher. The personal cost. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Nikolai thought about the personal sacrifices that had brought him to this moment. A divorce years ago, limited contact with his daughter, countless holidays spent in laboratory isolation. But now, standing on the precipice of potentially the most significant scientific discovery in human history, those sacrifices seemed almost insignificant. Dr. Petrova's voice interrupted his reflection. "The quantum entanglement readings are unprecedented. Whatever is generating this signal is operating on principles that completely redefine our understanding of information transfer." A dangerous discovery. The breakthrough came suddenly, without warning. A quantum algorithm that Nikolai had been developing began to resonate with fragments of the cosmic signal. It was as if two complex systems were communicating, finding a common language beyond human comprehension. "It's a warning," Nikolai realized, his scientific detachment momentarily cracking. "Not just about an approaching threat, but about the nature of existence itself." The facility's secure communication system lit up. Director Imani Okoro's holographic image materialized, her expression a mixture of hope and profound concern. "What have you found?" she asked. "The theoretical weapon." Nikolai's explanation was both simple and terrifyingly complex. The cosmic signal was more than a message. It was a potential key to understanding and perhaps defending against the approaching threat. "We can develop a quantum defensive algorithm," he explained. "Something that can adapt in real time, that can predict and counter the invasion strategy of whatever is approaching." The theoretical weapon was both elegant and horrifying. It would require rewriting the fundamental understanding of quantum mechanics, of information transfer, of the very nature of technological communication. The moment of revelation. As night fell over the Siberian research complex, Nikolai Volkov understood the true weight of their discovery. They weren't just preparing a defense. They were preparing to engage in a cosmic dialogue that could determine the fate of human civilization. The quantum processors continued their silent dance, mathematical sequences flowing like rivers of pure information. Something was coming, and humanity was about to demonstrate that its greatest weapon was not its technology, but its ability to adapt, to understand, to evolve. Outside, the Siberian winter continued its timeless vigil, indifferent to the cosmic drama unfolding within the research complex. The forward deployment. The experimental combat vessel Prometheus cut through the void of space like a razor through silk. Lieutenant Elena Rodriguez gripped the tactical interface, her augmented neural implants feeding her a constant stream of quantum-level sensor data that most human minds would find incomprehensible. This was humanity's most advanced offensive platform, a vessel that represented the culmination of global scientific and military collaboration. Every system, from its quantum-shielded hull to its adaptive weapon matrices, was a testament to humanity's desperate innovation. Quantum anomaly detected at 073, called out Lieutenant Marcus Wung from the sensor station. Magnitude is off our previous measurement scales. The first contact. Alina had trained for scenarios that ranged from conventional warfare to theoretical extra-dimensional conflicts, but nothing could have prepared her for what was about to unfold. The space around them began to change. It wasn't a visual transformation, it was something deeper, more fundamental. Quantum sensors registered shifts in spacetime that shouldn't have been possible. Probability streams began to twist and merge in ways that defied known physical laws. Adaptive defensive protocols engaging, Alina commanded, her voice calm despite the unprecedented situation. The quantum communication hub suddenly erupted with activity. Fragments of the mysterious cosmic signal they had been studying began to resonate with the surrounding space. It was as if the very fabric of reality was attempting to communicate. The incomprehensible enemy. What emerged was not a traditional invasion force. It was something far more terrifying, a collective consciousness that moved through space like a living algorithm. Sections of space seemed to fold and unfold, creating geometric patterns that hurt the human mind to comprehend. Dr. Rajiv Mehta, the vessel's chief xenophysicist, worked frantically at his station. It's not just a threat, he called out. It's a form of cosmic information processing. We're not being invaded, we're being analyzed. Tactical displays showed impossible movements. The threat, if it could be called that, didn't attack in any traditional sense. It probed, it measured, it seemed to be learning with each millisecond of interaction. The human response. Alina understood that conventional warfare was meaningless here. This was a battle of information, of adaptive intelligence, of fundamental understanding. Implement quantum resonance protocol, she ordered. It was a defensive strategy developed by Dr. Nikolai Volkov's team, a method of creating quantum interference patterns that would make human technological systems difficult to predict or analyze. The Prometheus began to pulse with energy that wasn't electromagnetic, wasn't gravitational. It was something entirely new, a form of technological camouflage that went beyond physical concealment. The personal toll. In a momentary break between defensive cycles, Alina thought about what was at stake. Her younger brother, a researcher in the lunar colonies, her parents in Buenos Aires, the billions of lives that depended on this mission. Lieutenant Wung's voice cut through her reflection. We're detecting massive information transfer. They're not just observing, they're learning our entire technological paradigm. The breaking point. Suddenly, the space around them began to fragment. Not in a physical sense, but in a way that suggested reality itself was being rewritten. Quantum sensors went haywire, showing multiple potential outcomes simultaneously. Maintain quantum coherence, Alina shouted, her neural implants working overtime to process the impossible data streams. The Prometheus shuddered, not from physical impact, but from a kind of informational stress that pushed the boundaries of human technological understanding. The moment of uncertainty. As the battle of information reached its crescendo, Alina Rodriguez understood they were no longer just fighting an enemy. They were engaging in a cosmic dialogue that would determine the future of human existence. The space around them continued to shift, to breathe, to communicate. Humanity's most advanced vessel stood as a single point of resistance against a threat that seemed to rewrite the very rules of reality. Something was coming, and they were humanity's first and potentially last line of defense. The convergence point. Time lost all meaning at the edge of known reality. The collective human fleet, a mosaic of technologies, cultures, and desperate hope, assembled in a region of space that defied traditional navigation. Director Imani Okoro stood on the bridge of the central command vessel, her hands steady as she observed the tactical displays that showed humanity's final strategy. Every research breakthrough, every sacrifice, every moment of human ingenuity had led to this singular point of confrontation. All systems synchronized, reported Commander Rafael Suarez, his voice carrying the weight of countless collaborative efforts. The fleet represented more than a military formation, It was the culmination of global cooperation that had transcended every previous limitation. The quantum battleground. Dr. Nikolai Volkov's theoretical work transformed from abstract mathematics to a living, breathing defensive strategy. The cosmic threat that had consumed entire civilizations now faced something it could not predict: true human unpredictability. Lieutenant Elena Rodriguez prepared the Prometheus, her vessel now the focal point of a multi-dimensional defensive matrix. The ship was more than a weapon, it was a living algorithm, capable of adapting in real time to threats that existed beyond traditional understanding. Quantum resonance protocols at maximum, called out her tactical officer. We're creating a defensive pattern that should be impossible to predict. The nature of the threat revealed. As the confrontation began, humanity discovered the true nature of their enemy. It wasn't a traditional invasion force, but a cosmic information processing system that consumed civilizations by understanding and assimilating their technological and cultural essence. The space around them began to fold and unfold. Realities overlapped, probability streams twisted into impossible geometries. It's trying to understand us, Dr. Rajiv Mehta observed from the research station, not to destroy but to comprehend. The human advantage. What the cosmic threat could not understand was the fundamental human capacity for irrational action. Where mathematical models predicted predictability, humans introduced chaos, emotions, unpredictability. Director Imani Okoro's strategy was brilliantly simple. They would not fight with pure technology, but with a combination of scientific precision and human creativity that defied computational analysis. Implement the Noah protocol, she commanded. The moment of transformation. Across the fleet, something unprecedented happened. Each vessel began to operate with a level of individual autonomy that seemed to contradict traditional military strategy. Ships moved in patterns that made no tactical sense, except that they made perfect sense to human intuition. Dr. Volkov's quantum algorithms danced across communication channels. They were not just defensive weapons, but living information streams that constantly rewrote themselves. We are not fighting to win, Imani broadcast to the entire fleet. We are fighting to survive, to demonstrate that existence is more than mathematical probability. The cosmic dialogue. The threat began to fragment. For the first time in its existence, it encountered a species that could not be fully analyzed, could not be predicted, could not be consumed. Humanity was not just resisting, they were communicating in a language of pure potential. Ships moved, quantum barriers shifted. Information streams became a living conversation between two fundamentally different forms of existence. The final revelation. As the confrontation reached its peak, something extraordinary happened. The cosmic threat did not retreat, it did not die, it began to change. It's learning, Dr. Mehta said, his voice a mixture of terror and wonder, but not through consumption, through understanding. The space around them stabilized. The impossible geometries began to resolve into something comprehensible. Humanity's legacy. When the final quantum echoes faded, something had fundamentally changed. The cosmic threat was no longer a threat. It had become a participant in a broader conversation of existence. Director Imani Okoro looked out at the transformed space, understanding that humanity had done more than survive. They had expanded the very definition of communication, of existence. We are not alone, she said softly, and we were never meant to be. The universe listened, and for the first time it truly heard humanity.